Lesson 121.
In.
Well, if you want to be part of the in crowd, you're going to have to learn the different cases that the preposition in can work with and what the word means when it takes each of those cases. Lisa, could you say a few words about what in means when it takes the accusative case and also maybe a reference to what it means when it takes the dative case?
Yes, I can. So here in this lesson, we're starting off with in plus accusative case, which means something like to, or it could also be into, which means you would pair it with a verb that gives you motion, because this really has the idea of movement happening.
So Lisa, we have some examples here of in working with the accusative case, and we have nouns from each of the three genders, right? We have a masculine noun.
Mhm. Der Supermarkt.
Right, and then a feminine noun.
Die Schule.
And then a neuter noun.
Das Kino.
So in order to do this, we have to look at the correct article for each word. So it needs to be an accusative singular article. And so what it looks like is the accusative articles are den, die, and das. It would be den for masculine, die for feminine, and das for neuter.
Yes.
So those are the same as nominative, really. The only difference is for the masculine, you have den instead of der, right?
Right. And also, as you see here in the last example, in das Kino is correct, but you can also merge the in with the das and make it into ins Kino.
So it's not required to make the contraction there. It's optional?
Yes.
Okay. So for our readers or listeners, they might want to keep their eyes peeled for in das or the contraction ins.
Yes. For me, we use in so much more, so it sounds more natural. So if you can remember, do it this way, but it's definitely not grammatically incorrect if you forget to do it.
I'm guessing that if you said ins, you could just talk faster, right?
Yes, it's just much more convenient, I think. So everybody is using that.
All the cool kids are using this contraction. Before we go, Lisa, there's one more interesting thing to talk about. As we were preparing this book, as we were writing it and putting these lessons together, we noticed that German speakers, that is native speakers from different parts of the country, they say this kind of thing different ways. I believe there are some dialectical differences between the northern part of Germany and the southern part. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, this was quite tricky. So I'm not sure if it's a regional difference or it's just because these two things coexist and some prefer it one way, some prefer it the other way. So a debate came up about the preposition zu, because you can also say zur Schule or zum Supermarkt. And for me, both are fine. And sometimes I would use this one and sometimes the other one. Other Germans seem to feel more strongly about one against the other. I'm not sure why that is.
And I think that regardless of what language it is, when we say little things like this, sometimes we're implying meaning, like there's a certain intended meaning that's packed into it. This also came up when we were writing the French book, because there was a certain way to say you're going to someplace that had the feeling of you're going there to go into the place and do something there. But there was another way to say you're going to someplace that meant you were just going in that direction or going to that area, but not necessarily inside. So there's different little connotations that go with different statements.
Right.
Like when I say I'm going to the store, I don't just mean that I'm going to the store and then I'll just sit out front. I mean, I'm going there to buy things. I'm going there to go inside, shop around, and buy something and bring it home. In other words, there's more meaning packed in than what the words themselves say. So when you say you're going zu, Dane, zu takes the accusative, right?
Zu actually takes the dative.
So if that's motion toward, why would it not take the accusative?
Zu is not one of the two-way prepositions, so it always just takes the dative case.
Okay. German is hard.
I know.
So if you're saying I'm going to the supermarket, is there any implied meaning there?
If I'm saying I'm going zum Supermarkt, see, that's the explanation that you gave earlier is one that you would find online too. People would say, oh, if I'm saying zum Supermarkt, I'm just going in that direction. And if I'm saying I'm going in den Supermarkt, I'm really going inside. But I mean, if you're going to the supermarket, literal to translation is actually zu, zum Supermarkt, you're still going in there and shopping. You're not just going to stay outside. So for me, it doesn't give me a satisfying explanation.
Okay.
I guess.
So suffice it to say that there are different opinions about how to use some of these prepositions and what they might communicate.